So here we are at the Tower Bridge, quite a famous bridge behind us, and we're going to do a little reading from this Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 14. This is a continuation of Vidura's talks with Maitreya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alright, text 14. O sage, persons who because of their sinful activities are averse to the topics of transcendence and thus ignorant of the purpose of the Mahabharata Bhagavad Gita, in brackets, are pitied by the pitiable. I also pity them because I see how their duration of life is spoiled by eternal time while they involve themselves in presentations of philosophical speculation, theoretical ultimate goals of life, and different modes of ritual. Purport. According to the modes of material nature, there are three kinds of relationships between human beings and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are in the modes of ignorance and passion are averse to the existence of God, or else they formally accept the existence of God in the capacity of an order supplier. Above them are those who are in the mode of goodness. This second class of men believe the Supreme Brahman to be impersonal. They accept the cult of bhakti, in which hearing of Krishna Katha is the first item as a means and not the end. Above them are those who are pure devotees. They are situated in the transcendental stage above the mode of material goodness. Such persons are decidedly convinced that the name, form, fame, qualities, etc. of the personality of Godhead are non-different from one another on the absolute plane. For them, hearing of the topics of Krishna is equal to meeting with him face to face. According to this class of men who are situated in devotional service to the Lord, the real mission of life. The impersonalists who have no faith in the personality of Godhead have no business hearing the topics of Krishna. Such persons are pitiable for the first class pure devotees of the Lord. The pitiable impersonalists pity those who are influenced by the modes of ignorance and passion, but the pure devotees of the Lord take pity on them both, because both waste their most valuable time in the human form of life in false pursuits, sense enjoyment, and mental speculative presentations of different theories and goals of life.
Any thoughts, realizations?
Yeah, as you get older, you actually realise life is short. It gets shorter as you get older, and you can appreciate all this. We just need to cut everything out and just try to become Krishna conscious. We need to try to get out of this material world. I actually saw a quote today. Yeah, Malati Mataji put it. Srila Prabhupada letter. I was really surprised by it, actually. It was interesting. I was surprised because Prabhupada was basically saying, don't worry about the what's going on in this material world. Don't worry about, the injustices or this and that. Don't get involved in all that. Just try to become a devotee so you can go back to Godhead and get out. I thought it was interesting because I just thought the mood was try to help everyone. I'm not saying, therefore, I'm not trying to be controversial, but it was interesting in that this particular letter or whatever was saying, don't worry, that's the material world. Don't worry about it. Why are you getting stuck in it? Just get out. Just get out and go home. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in everything. But all this is ultimately temporary. It's not really our destination. Yeah.
Right.
Nice one. Anyway, let's carry on. So, text 15. O Maitreya, O friend of the distressed, the glories of the Supreme Lord can alone do good for people all over the world. Therefore, just as bees collect honey from flowers, kindly always, so I guess it's quite annoying. We can pretend it's the sound of bees in the background collecting honey.
Yeah, well, the bees are getting nearer.
There are many topics for different persons and different modes of material nature, but the essential topics are those in relationship with the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, materially affected, conditioned souls are all more or less averse to the topics of the Supreme Lord because some of them do not believe in the existence of God, and some of them believe only in the impersonal feature of the Lord. In both cases, there is nothing for them to say of God. Both the non-believers and the impersonalists deny the essence of all topics. Therefore, they engage in topics of relativity in various ways, either in sense gratification or in mental speculation. For the pure devotees like Vidura, the topics of both the mundaners and the mental speculators are useless in all respects. Thus, Vidura requested Maitreya to talk of the essence only and the talks of Krishna and nothing else. So it seems the point here is that those who are materialistic and atheistic, they don't really care to hear the topics of God anyway. And the devotees don't really care to hear the topics of the atheistics, the Gyanis or impersonalists and materialists. So, and Vidura is really trying to encourage Maitreya to just speak the essence, just like the, what is the example? Just as a bee collects honey from the flowers, it just goes in and takes the essence, so like that.
All those superhuman transcendental activities of the Supreme Controller, the purposefully equipped with all potency for the full manifestation and maintenance of the cosmic creation. Purport. Vidura. Hare Krishna, Lucy Bhavani. Vidura was undoubtedly very eager to hear about Lord Krishna in particular, but he was overwhelmed because Lord Krishna had just passed away from the visible world. He therefore wanted to hear about him in his Purusha incarnations, which he manifests with full potencies for the creation and maintenance of the cosmic world. The activities of the Purusha incarnations are but an extension of the activities of the Lord. This hint was given by Vidura to Maitreya, because Maitreya could not decide which part of the activities of Lord Krishna should be chanted.
Should, yes, it just says should be
Should,
chanted.
yeah.
Haribo Mahesh.
Haribo.
Swagatam. So yours says be chanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So any thoughts on that?
It's interesting, this point. Vidura was overwhelmed because Lord Krishna had just passed away from the visible world, and just because we've just heard, unfortunately, one of our community members' parents just passed away. So just to and we were talking about how, as a parent passed away, anyone passed away, it's natural. It's not that we have to, I'm a devotee, I have no feelings. It's natural to be devastated and hurt. And then you think about memories and think about them, and I just thought it's interesting that, so for Vidura, Krishna just left this material world and he's feeling it, and he's like, I want to hear about him, talk about him, he's feeling it on that level, and
remember
he's
him.
just gone, It's a very natural feeling.
Yeah. Of course, it's maybe a little different. Of course, we're meant to develop this mood of missing Krishna, but how many of us really actually miss and long for Krishna? Maybe on some little degree, but as we progress in our spiritual practice, then we should actually be pining, crying, longing for Krishna and to be in his association and really feeling separated from it. Like Prabhupada says, like a child cries for its mother, Text 17. Shukadev Goswami said, the great sage Maitreya Muni, after honoring Vidura very greatly, began to speak at Vidura's request for the greatest welfare of all people. Purport. The great sage Maitreya Muni is described here as Bhagavan because he surpassed all ordinary human beings in learning and experience. Thus, his selection of the greatest welfare service for the world is considered authoritative. The all-inclusive welfare service for the entire human society is devotional service to the Lord. And as requested by Vidura, the sage described the same very appropriately.
Text 18. Sri Maitreya said, O Vidura, all glory unto you. You have inquired from me of the greatest full goodness, and thus you have shown your mercy both to the world and to me, because your mind is always absorbed in thoughts of the transcendence. Prabhupada. Maitreya Muni, who was experienced in the science of transcendence, could understand that Vidura's mind was fully absorbed in transcendence. Adhokshaja means that which transcends the limits of sense perception or sensuous experience. The Lord is transcendental to our sense experience, but he reveals himself to the sincere devotee. Because Vidura was always absorbed in thought of the Lord, Maitreya could estimate Vidura's transcendental value. He appreciated the valuable inquiries of Vidura and thus thanked him with great honour. Because one great sage recognises another. Basically, so you could understand where he was coming from, and you feel good, someone on your level or kinship, and you're like, yeah, I can really get into this, and you'll appreciate what I'm going to get into.
Haribo Mango, welcome. Nice to see you.
Very appreciate it. All star cast.
We got the Crawley crew.
Yeah, you lot must be up early.
South of the river, all the people South England.
Yeah.
Down there.
Did you forget it's bank holiday?
So, yeah, I think it's interesting here that there's like you said, that rasa relationship between Vidura and Maitreya, and of course, Vidura is posing questions that are good for everybody, but also Maitreya is appreciating that it's good for me. Thank you for asking such nice questions, because I get to talk about these higher topics.
Yeah.
Text 19. O Vidura, it is not at all wonderful that you have so accepted the Lord without deviation of thought, for you were born from the semen of Vyasadeva. So, picking up on his familial connection and the fact that he's actually the son of Vyasadeva. Vidura is, really an exalted personality.
Yeah.
Lucy's just said, lovely way to spend bank holiday.
Oh.
Purport. The value of great parentage and noble birth is evaluated here in connection with the birth of Vidura. Yeah, so actually those great souls who've joined us today, you all have children, and by the mercy of you being exalted parents who are connected with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, then of course your children are benefited so much. The culture of human being begins when the father invests his semen in the womb of the mother. According to his status of work, a living entity is placed in a particular father's semen, and because Vidura was not an ordinary living entity, he was given the chance to be born from the semen of Vyas. The birth of a human being is a great science, and therefore reformation of the act of impregnation according to the Vedic ritual called Garbhodan Samskar is very important for generating good population. The problem is not to check the growth of the population, but to generate good population on the level of Vidura. Sorry, I lost my place. On the level of Vidura, Vyas, and Maitreya. There is no need to check the growth of population if the children are born as human beings with all precautions regarding their birth. So-called birth control is not only vicious, but also useless.
Okay.
What powerful statement here from our founder, Acharya. First of all, the science of birth and life, how, of course, we see that even life is there in the semina of the man, and this is where the soul comes from. So the soul is in the semen and then enters into the egg, and that's because otherwise the egg just comes and goes and dies. But once the semen and the egg meet, then life is born. And so for those who are, I guess the whole abortion argument, that life is there from the beginning. Life is there from conception. So at any point it's killing. But Prabhupada is also kind of condemning birth control and saying that there's no need to worry about overpopulating the planet. Mainly we just need to populate the planet with good people. So there you go. So
it's your biology class for today.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Don't want to get into the details or anything. But.
No.
And of course the Garbhodan Samskar is mentioned, which, is there in the Sakriyasar Deepika, given to us by Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami on the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And actually the Govardhan Samskar is simply one mantra that's chanted before the process of trying to conceive. Prabhupada encouraged devotees to chant, I think he said 54 rounds, or 50 rounds before consciousness being raised would invite the soul to be entered into the womb of the mother, like that. Some more biology or science, Scientology.
Too early for that. Right, text 20. It's gone quiet all of a sudden, isn't it?
Yeah, because that man stopped
Everyone's gone.
hoovering up the pavement.
And text 20. I know that you are now Vidura due to the cursing of Mandavya Muni, and that formerly you were King Yamaraj. Oh, it's doing yoga. Formerly you were King Yamaraj, the great controller of living entities after their death. You were begotten by the son of Satyavati, Vyasadev, in the kept wife of his brother. Purport. Mandavya Muni was a great sage, and Vidura was formerly the controller Yamaraj, who takes charge of the living entities after death. Birth, maintenance, and death are three conditional states of the living entities who are within the material world. As the appointed controller after death, Yamaraj once tried Mandavya Muni for his childhood profligacy and ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Mandavya, being angry at Yamaraj, because he did something, that was it. Mandavya Muni pierced like something when he was a kid, and then Yamaraj kind of called him on it.
There's a whole story that might be told here if you keep reading.
Oh, okay. Mandavya, being angry at Yamaraj for awarding him undue punishment, cursed him to become a Sudra, member of the less intelligent labourer class. Thus Yamaraj took birth in the womb of the kept wife of Vichitravira, from the semen of Vichitravira's brother Vyasadev. Vyasadev is the son of Satyavati by the great king Santanu, the father of Bhishmadev. This mysterious history of Vidura was known to Maitreya Muni because he happened to be a contemporary friend of Vyasadev's. In spite of Vidura's birth from the womb of a kept wife, because he had otherwise high parentage and great connection, he inherited the highest talent of becoming a great devotee of the Lord. To date birth in such a great family is understood to be an advantage for attaining devotional life. Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness.
So, you say Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness. What does that mean? Because he was Yamaraj, so he is Yamaraj incarnate. Yeah, and there's a whole story of why that happened. I'm pretty sure that it's told. Oh, actually, it seems like it doesn't. No, it doesn't actually. But I have heard the story. I can attempt to tell it. Do you think that's useful?
Well, quickly, yeah.
Okay.
They may want their breakfast or something.
Okay, so Mandavya Muni, he was actually performing some austerities because he was a devotee, and he was performing austerities to try to make spiritual advancement. And he had proposed, I think, something like to the effect to stand on one leg and not speak. He had taken Mona Vrat. And what happened was some thieves, they came knocking at the door because they were running away from the police. And they opened the door and they saw that it was a Muni there, and they were a little respectful, because in those times even the thieves were respectful of holy people. And they tried to say to him, look, the police are chasing after us, can we just hide here? And you tell the police and they'll go away and we'll be safe. But he maintained his vrata of not speaking, so he didn't say anything. And they just went and hid in the back of his hermitage. So then the police came in and they saw the sadhu, and they were also respectful, and they tried to question him, and they realized that he was, performing some vrata. So they went and looked for the dacoits, and they found the dacoits in his hermitage, and he wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't break his vow. So eventually they took him to court. They tried the thieves, they found the thieves guilty, and then they tried Mandavya Muni. But he wouldn't speak in his defense, so based on the evidence that the thieves were found in his residence and he wouldn't say anything, they basically impaled all the thieves. Now we're near the Tower of London here. So the Tower of London is where they basically used to lock up all the dacoits and thieves, and probably a few who weren't dacoits and thieves also.
Yeah.
But they used to behead people and put their heads on sticks along the London Bridge over here, not Tower Bridge. Anyway, they impaled him on these stakes out in public. Now, what does that mean? It means basically they rammed the stake from the backside of them up to the top side and impaled them there to die. So they did that to Mandavya Muni. But because he was still performing his vrata, even though he was in great pain, he didn't die. Everyone else died. So he stayed on that for, I forget how many days, 2, 3, 4 days, maybe even longer. And then after some time, they came to take all the bodies off, and they realized he was still alive. And they that, look, you should just give up your body, give up your vow, you're sinning, I'm like a Muni, and I've performed so much austerity throughout my life, and so devotional. Why was I impaled on this stake? Why did I suffer in this way? And Yamaraj, looking through his book, right, he said, oh, because when you were a small child, you took a small stick or piece of straw and you pierced the body of like an ant or an insect.
Yeah.
And Mandavya Muni became furious. And he said, I was only a child.
Yeah.
I didn't know right from wrong. How can I suffer such an intense punishment so much later in my life for such an innocent mistake? And Yamaraj kind of really began to realize, oops, I think we did kind of over chastise you or over punish you. So at that point, I think, two things happened. One is that Mandavya Muni cursed Yamaraj, that because of this, you'll also now have to take birth from a Sudrani, from a kept mistress of the king, and live as a kind of, that sort of lowly type of person, the son of a maid servant. And so he cursed him like that. But because of that, also, evidently, what I've understood is that Yamaraj changed the laws, which means that if anyone commits any sinful activity under the age of, I think it's 14, under the age of 14, then they're not punishable by the laws of Yamaraj for such innocent mistakes. So in that way, it seems that this punishment of Mandavya Muni actually changed kind of the course of punishment history. So that's the stories I've understood, and I know this because actually I've been listening to the audio books of Krishna Dharma Prabhu at Brilliant as the Sun, which is the series that they've written in story form, and he tells the whole story there, and yeah, it's really, really good. So anyway, I hope that explains things a little bit more.
It sure does, yeah.
I think we're keep it short, but yeah.
I think we're up to date now.
Okay.
All right, so.
So that's 24 minutes, so.
I think, yeah. I'll call it a day.
Call it a bank holiday. How about that? Okay, thank you all for tuning in.
Thank
we got
you,
lots of nice guests who stuck with us. Some who dropped off. I guess my story was too boring. But thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Glories to
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.
Jai. Hari. And have a lovely bank holiday. Well, it's only just beginning really, so Hare Krishna.